Good morning. This is Wall and Broad coming to you from the corner of Wall Street and Broad Street in New York City. Markets are a little quiet this morning, but pointing higher on this Veterans Day as the bond market and the banks are both closed. Looking at today's top headlines, rescue workers struggle to come to the aid of the Philippines after the country was devastated by a huge typhoon. Secretary of State Kerry says he could reach a nuclear deal with Iran in a couple of months or a few months. And Amazon has come to the rescue of the U.S. Postal Service. Joining me now is Bellpoint Asset Management Chief Strategist David Nelson. So this deal between Amazon and the U.S. Postal Service was really pretty surprising.
It was for me, and I got an inkling of it over the weekend. I was driving around on Sunday, and I saw a U.S. postal truck driving around delivering packages. I was trying to figure out what that was about, and I come in this morning, and it's all over the press, and it's there, and I think it's fabulous.
So Sunday deliveries, I would assume that would increase orders for Amazon if people know that they could get it on Sunday.
I think it resets the bar, and I think a lot of online retailers will have to think about doing something like this. It certainly was a surprise, and it's got to be somewhat of a negative for FedEx and UPS, I would think.
That was going to be my next question. I'm sure when they saw this, they could not have been happy because FedEx and UPS don't deliver on Sunday, and so this really takes away some of their business.
You know, I was wondering that myself, and I was wondering if Amazon put this out to bid, and it was just that the U.S. Post Office came up with a better price. That could be it as well.
Or they knew that they were desperate for business and willing to work on Sundays.
Well, they do have a big backstop. They have the U.S. taxpayer to support them, yes.
Is this enough business to save the post office?
Gosh, you know, I'm probably not the best person to ask on that. I really don't know. They're losing billions every year. But this is high margin business. Delivering letters is very low margin. Delivering packages is pretty good. So it's certainly going to help. And I think we're going to see more deals like this from the post office with perhaps other vendors.
All right. Well, another deal that is very big today is that Dublin Shire agreed to a $4.2 billion takeover offer for Viropharms. It is 27% more than what the stock closed out on Friday. And joining me now is our biotech editor, Adam Feuerstein from Boston. So Adam, this deal will focus on rare diseases. But I gotta ask, if they're rare, there can't be that many patients. And isn't this why a lot of the big pharma companies avoid this group? It just isn't profitable?
Well, no, actually, it's actually the opposite, Deborah. Very few patients. You're right. These are rare diseases. You're talking about, diseases with maybe thousands of patients worldwide. But because of that, the prices that the companies can charge for these drugs is it's just astonishing. For instance, Viropharms, the company that's being bought today, their drug Cinryze costs $350,000 a year. So when you can charge, $300,000, $400,000 for a drug, you don't need that many patients.
Will insurance, though, want to pay these kinds of prices? Because isn't that what happens, too, is now these patients, they say, I really need this treatment, but the insurance companies balk at it and not want to pay. I mean, that's a huge sum of money.
It's an issue. It's definitely an issue. What's happened so far is that because there's so few patients, the insurance companies have basically said, we will reimburse for these drugs. Because if you think about it, each insurance company they're not going to have a lot of these patients. They're not carrying a lot of these patients, right? So for now they've been reimbursing for these drugs. I think you bring up a good point because the orphan drug business has expanded. Lots of companies are getting into orphan diseases, developing drugs for orphan diseases, and as we do that, the definition of an orphan disease has expanded. And if we get to a point where we have so many of these drugs that cost so much, reimbursement could become an issue down the road. It really hasn't been an issue so far.
Is there any change with Obamacare in response to these types of drugs and coverage?
Not really, again, because for the reasons that I stated before, is that, most insurance companies right now are paying for them. It's not, if they have one or two patients, it's not that much of a burden on them. It only becomes more so if the number of patients who are on these kinds of high-priced medicines grow substantially.
It seems like this has been a trend to see the bigger companies gobble up these smaller companies. They're not really doing this kind of research in-house anymore.
Yeah, I mean, this is, for Shire, this is sort of a bolt-on acquisition. I mean, it's kind of weird to think of like a $4 billion acquisition being characterized as bolt-on, but Shire has an existing business unit that that develops and sells orphan disease drugs. So them bringing Viropharma into the mix is kind of, it sort of bolsters this unit that they already have. It's a good fit in that way for them.
All right, thank you so much, Adam. And that's what's happening in the market today. It does look like we are pointing in the green territory to get started for our Happy Veterans Day. This has been Wall and Broad, and I'm Deborah Borchardt for The Street.